G'day guys, and today Shorty and I are going to review the game with Geelong and Hawthorn, which was at the MCG on the Friday night. Wasn't quite what we wanted, mate. It was just a bitterly disappointing performance. I was quite hopeful, and I think Shorty was quite hopeful as well that we'd potentially be able to get the job done, but it certainly didn't turn out that way. Hawthorn got home in the end by 36 points, and I think halfway through the last quarter when it got to 21 points, you decided to take a bit of an exit, mate?
Yeah, there's nothing unusual there, mate. Certainly wasn't hanging around to see the Hawks jumping up and down and hearing the song. That's part and parcel of what Shorty does, but hopeful is probably the right word. I guess I didn't expect to win, but we're always a chance. The game was just always played on Hawthorn's terms, basically. And
absolutely, they were. Yeah.
While we stuck around, we couldn't quite get that far in front and really have the full ascendancy of the match, but a couple of points out of the game where I suppose their ball use and certain players that I thought our tackle count was really disappointing, especially
shocking effort.
Big match, and we had 7 tackles in the first quarter, and it just allows guys like Hill to run amok and Mitchell, Birchall, Smith. So
they killed it.
Yeah, and the loose man back was someone that we were talking about throughout the night. Obviously, watching the game together, which doesn't happen too often.
No, it was good though.
Yeah, whether it was Spanger or whether it was
Joshy Gibson.
Yeah, Gibson was probably the main one.
Yep.
Just controlled proceedings, and while Hawkins was beaten, that didn't do him any favours. So yeah, we are
so frustrating to watch them having the loose back, saying, "Scotty, man him up." Is it the players or is it the coaches? You just don't quite know. But.
Yeah, I mean, the simple way of looking at it is, what's our way of getting to the forward line? More often than not, it's a long kick to Hawkins. How's theirs? Precise ball movement by foot to Gunston or Bruce or Roughhead.
Yeah.
So I really don't think a loose man back benefits us as much as it does Hawthorn, and I think that showed true. So.
No, well, they rely on most teams to just kick the ball up high, which is what we seem to do, which is weird because we know how most teams like to go in, even though it's pretty reactive. And Hawthorn, obviously, they hit up the target. They don't, just bomb it to no one. And how can your loose man be effective if they're hitting the targets precisely by foot? It just makes no sense. It's a bit redundant.
Yeah, and combination with the tackle count as well, because if you're letting them do as they please and getting quite loose and not having much pressure on the ball carrier, then
spot on.
Yeah, they'll tear you apart.
Well, yeah, I'll get into some of the points that I thought on the game.
Yeah.
Now, you just can't give players like Smith, Hill, Mitchell and Birchall so much time and space. I mean, we were absolutely screaming for someone to just man up Hill. He was just so damaging. He's their quickest player, and they just gave him no respect at all, and it was so frustrating to watch. Just sitting in the crowd, and it's like, Scotty, just give the boys a message. Make the move. I mean, maybe even Hall and Smith, he played a shocking game. Move him, give him a bit of a tagging job there, and I just don't know what was going through the minds of, I guess, Geelong as a whole, but.
Yeah, and I think Hill had 27 or 28 touches.
Best game of the club, I'd imagine.
And he had 1 in the last term, so when the game was on, he just tore us apart in the first 3 quarters.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah. And, there were so many simple things we couldn't get right. We couldn't hit targets. We didn't stick tackles. We dropped chest marks, and, Tom Hawkins early on, he dropped 2 or 3 chest marks, and
tone-setting marks.
It did really set the tone for the night, and sometimes you look at that and you think, maybe just that one time, but it really does set that tone for the night and takes the confidence out of the group, which is quite unfortunate, but that's sort of how it goes, I guess.
Yeah.
But full credit to the Hawks. Their pressure was absolutely exceptional, and the way they played sort of dictated how we played. And when the Hawks moved the ball, it was pretty free-flowing, very natural movement. When we got it on the other side, pressure on the ball carrier, and it was just so tough to just get through and hit any targets. And because of Hawthorn's pressure, they just really dictated how obviously we moved the ball and our inability to hit targets and be clean around the footy, which was so disappointing. But
they're a class act, so
yeah,
I think one of us made mention last week that if the two sides play their best, then Hawthorn win, and I mean, there's a reason for that. They are a better side than us now, so...
Sadly.
Yeah, sadly, but they were very, very good.
Yeah. And also must mention, it's probably a bit of a big call, but sometimes Geelong just have that look about them is they just have the attitude that they don't really care. They seem like a group that just doesn't care sometimes, and we can physically match up against Hawthorn quite well in most games and with the personnel we had on the park as well. But the fact that pretty much from after quarter time, I mean, we were level with them at half time. We just didn't go with them, and it just looked so lazy, and it wasn't a good look. It made us look like a 6th or 7th team.
Yeah, I mean, I don't quite agree with you there. I mean, I couldn't question their endeavour or intent on the big final, but...
59 tackles, mate.
I know, I see where you're coming from. I mean, maybe from a tackling aspect we were down, but as far as their actual endeavour, I mean, I felt we attacked the contest fairly well. I mean, we won the clearances and that, but maybe you give a bit of credit to Hawthorn as well for making us look a little worse than what we actually are, I suppose, but I see where you're coming from.
Well, I'm glad you do, mate.
Yeah.
It's good. Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, this game certainly signifies that there is no more curse or anything like that. The last 3 contests, margins have been 19 points, 23 points, and 36 points, and the last 2 results going in Hawthorn's way, so absolutely no curse at all now, and you just feel like it'd be a major upset to beat them now. I think Hawthorn never quite had that victory in the bank, and it certainly was a mind game.
Yeah.
And that prelim win was absolutely priceless in more ways than one, as it turned out for the rest of the year.
Yeah, you're spot on. They no longer fear the blue and white hoops, but you can't always beat them. And natural progression, I think they have gone past us, like we mentioned a couple of times.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no more curse, that's for sure.
Yeah, it sucks. We've got no safety net now to beat the Hawks, but we'll get stuck into the votes anyway, mate. Who'd you give your votes to?
Joel Selwood, he was just unbelievable, really.
Is it, yeah?
You'd make a good argument. He was probably best on ground, I think. I mean, Mitchell and Hill were right up there, but Selwood was absolutely fantastic. Not only does he win the contested footy, he leads from the front. He kicked the first goal. He kicked multiple goals at crucial times. He was just absolutely sensational, and if you could clone him, God, that'd be good.
And Harry Taylor.
He's just a jet, yeah. So I gave him 3. And I gave 2 to Travis Varco. I thought he really set us alight in the first half, and was a fair reason that we were level at half time.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't remember exactly, but I think he had 13 or 14 touches in the first half. Died out in the second, but as did many cats, he wasn't the only one there. So he's an important cog with his pace off the back line, so he was impressive. And the one vote, well, we'll pick it out of a hat, let's be honest. There weren't too many contributors. Bartel and Rivers were who I came down with, and I went with Rivers. I thought he did all right in the back line. And when Taylor went forward, he did a reasonable job on Roughhead when he was accountable for him. And fairly solid with the ball in hand, but there weren't too many blokes putting their hand up for the one vote.
No, it was
not too many blokes putting their hand up at all, unfortunately. But
no, it's very indicative of the way it panned out.
Yeah, it was. But we'll move on to your votes, mate. How did you see it?
Relatively similar. I went with Joel Selwood for the 3 votes. He got 31 disposals. I think he took the 7 marks and 6 tackles and 3 goals. I mean, stats aren't everything, but I think that spells out a pretty good game.
Yeah.
Just an outstanding leader, and steps up every week and loves to play the Hawks, as he so often mentions during the week with the media and whatnot. But just kick goals at crucial stages in the game when we really needed someone to just finally get a 6-pointer through. And I mean, without him, we'd be nowhere at the moment. I wouldn't think. But
he's a star.
Been outstanding. So he gets the 3 for mine. 2 to Travis Varco. We've chopped him all year, and I mean, he's come good at the right time of the year. Unfortunately, not many other players doing likewise, at least in this final. He got the 19 disposals, 5 marks. I think he got the 4 tackles as well. But yes, and as I say, the stats aren't everything, but I thought he was in amongst it, and certainly gave it a crack when someone needed to stand up. And I mean, it was pretty clear that he was second best to Selwood. For the Cats. Obviously not too many players putting their hand up, as we keep reiterating. And the 1 vote to Jimmy Bartel, absolute superstar. He's sort of gone down a little bit the last few years and not quite having that support he had 6 or 7 years ago that made him an absolute gun. I mean, he probably made it there in his own right.
Oh, yeah.
But pace and age certainly died off a little bit, which is a bit of a shame, but it happens to the best of us.
It does, and he's still impressive, and he's had a fairly good year.
Yeah, got the 20 disposals and also the 6 marks, and kicked a couple of crucial goals. A nice hanger as well to go along with that.
Yeah.
Bit of highlight for Jimmy. So
doesn't get much airtime in the old marks, but that was not too bad.
He did a good job. So yeah, those are my votes, and we'll move on to the chopping block. Or the review players block at the moment.
Yeah, it is a bit like that at the moment. Well, there's one man in focus, and it's Hamish McIntosh.
Good call.
Good call. It was highlighted by Footy Classified a few weeks back. There's a segue, but you know, whether the teams look at it more in depth now, but I'm sure they're well aware. We've been looking at it more in depth, and he's getting absolutely owned by Ruckman at the moment.
Defensively, he's just so poor.
Exactly. If you look at his stats and his impact, well, you'd probably take it. But the fact that David Hale just tore him apart, just got forward at the footy, like was the case against the Hawks last time, it's a real worry. And to be honest, I don't know what you do. You got to play him, I think, but whether you rotate more frequently with Blitzarves or with Walker even, I'm not sure, but he is really struggling, so...
It's hurting us, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, multiple times, bursting out of the centre, he was just metres behind the opposition ruckman, so he won't be dropped, but he needs to lift, that's for sure.
Definitely.
He comes up against Todd Goldstein, who I think he had 7 or 8 touches in the first quarter last time he played us. That was on Dawson Simpson, but...
Yeah, but you can see the same thing potentially happening.
Yeah.
Maybe not to that degree, but pretty close.
Yeah, and the other man is obviously Steve Johnson. If you ask Chris Scott, he's not going to play. If you ask Steve, surprise, surprise, he's going to play.
Yeah.
I think you could break Steve's leg and you could say he's going to play, but
yeah.
he always thinks he'll be right. I don't think he'll play, to be honest. And
no.
I think he'll be right up against it. I wish he would play, and I have full faith that even if he's 85% right, he could be a match winner. But I'm not sure Chris Scott is going to take that risk, but. You know, those sort of things will matter on whether he trains during the week and how he trains during the week. So we'll wait and see. But obviously, Alan Christensen will hopefully work his way back in the side.
Yeah, a bit of a sore back. We're not too sure on the severity of it, but
backs are a worry.
Bit of a concern. But
it is, and we really need him to, come back and give us a bit of life in that respect. But positional wise and selection wise, it's about all there is. It's not so much about the team we're putting out there, but the blokes that are there that need a lift, We were looking at the side before, and there's not too many players you could say reach the expectation that we and the coaching staff have for them week in, week out.
Probably about 5 players out of the 22 that actually did their job and played well.
Yeah, there's sort of 50-50 blokes that you sort of expect to step up and play better and, make that difference, like Holland Smith or Caddy and... Thurlow was sub, which was unlucky for him. But, those players in those mould need to step up. Motlop's another one. But
it was shocking.
If there was one good thing I really enjoyed out of the match was Josh Walker. Unfortunately for him, he was on fire at half-time, and then Harry Taylor switched forward, which meant Walker didn't quite have that situation. But he plucked a few, and he looked good, so I think he'll be there to stay. But
you couldn't see Mitch Brown or Shane Kirsten doing that, could you, mate?
No. We were pretty excited when he clunked a couple in front of us. I mean,
and Jeffy Boy was up and about too. He's like, "You have arrived, son."
Yeah, he was up and
so
about.
Good.
So, I don't think it's more about who we put out in the park, but those blokes lifting. So that'll be a focus throughout the week, and they need to lift pretty soon. Because we've got a knockout final, mate. You'll get stuck into that one.
Yeah, it's such a crucial game coming up. We've got North Melbourne on the Friday night at the MCG, I'd imagine. I don't think they've played at Etihad.
No, it's at the G,
Good stuff there, mate. You're doing your research. That's good. So I've tipped North to beat us both times this year and been wrong twice, so I don't know where to go here, mate. But North, they came back from 33 points down against the Bombers. I was sending you a few texts through and saying, North are cooked, and they must have been reading my text messages. I don't know, they just switched on, and Benny Brown was on fire, and I mean, he wasn't playing on, Dustin Fletcher or anything, but he certainly got off the chain, and North just lifted their intensity and just played well and got the job done in the end. Credit to them, but they are one side that can worry us for pace. Most sides do, to be honest, and yeah, it's really tough to say whether they're a feeding crack at us. I think they definitely are, and you wanted to play Essendon as opposed to North Melbourne because of that.
Yeah, for sure. Their spread has worried us in the past,
and especially on Etihad, and just in general when their second grade players are playing well. Players like Bastanak, I don't know if Siebel falls in that category. Maybe a few others as well. But
Gibson as well is probably
Gibson's probably just in the B grade, or close to A grade, but I see him play every week, so I don't quite know.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
So when those players are playing well, it's generally a worry for us, but I think they may depend on Christensen and Johnson's availability. I don't think Johnson played last time.
No, I think you're right there. Yeah.
Which would... I thought it would work against us. Or maybe it was at Simmons Stadium. I can't quite remember. Maybe it was out for both of them. But, yeah, it will certainly be a huge test, and it's certainly not a game you'd pencil in because North, they've beaten the top 4 sides and, Port Adelaide as well. Well, except for us because we're in the top 4.
Yeah.
Don't think we deserve to be honest. But I'd say we're a 6th or 7th side at the moment. the way we've been playing, absolutely. I mean, there's so many flaws that... were certainly amplified in this game.
Yeah, that's what finals does. I mean, I think we do enough to win, and we know how to win, that's for sure. And that's probably why we finished in the top 4, but our percentage suggests maybe we are 6th or 7th best side. But,
yeah, for sure.
Knowing how to win is a big part of being a good side, so it'll be a tough match. I think if you're looking for a blueprint for us, it's, the likes of Ben Brown, Petrie and Aaron Black. You'd like to think they'd be beaten by Taylor, Lonigan, Rivers,
possibly.
You'd like to think, and that's, I'm sure, what we'd be hoping.
I think Chris Gold will be saying exactly the same thing, mate.
And the flow-on effect is, we want to win the midfield battle. We want to make it contested, win the clearances, because if they get out, they'll stream away. They get Harvey back. Wales look fantastic. They're 2 blokes and Warriors.
Harvey will be very, very huge inclusion for them.
And, the obvious thing is Hawkins needs to kick goals and take contested marks.
I reckon you'll have to kick probably 3 or 4 for us to be a feeding crack to get the job done.
And you'll come up against an informed Scotty Thompson, so it won't be easy.
Yeah, well, I mean, he kicked 7 against Brisbane, albeit against a pretty dismal defence, and comes up against Lake, so form is all relative, I think, until you play decent opposition.
Yeah, but, we know he can tear any given side up at any given time, but the midfield's got to help him out a bit as well.
Certainly.
The secondary forward, so.
Certainly shown up this week that we didn't get the job done in the midfield. So
exactly.
And that lack of cohesion that was definitely shown up again. Just the midfield's not quite hitting up forwards well at all. I mean, again, the Hawks' pressure probably we can come back to that and say that was a big factor in that. But
it is a concern. We sometimes don't seem to be on the exact same page, and maybe that's because of lack of targets. I'm not sure, but
who knows?
It's important.
We need to address it, that's for sure. But who's your final tip anyway? If you had to say right now, North or Cats?
Geelong. I mean, we often say, teams coming off a win, others coming off a loss. This is going to be really close. Maybe they'll go out in straight sets, but I think Geelong will find a way to win. Yeah. For the points I just mentioned, mainly in the defence, I think we'll be seeing our half-back line playing really good footy again.
Hope so, yeah.
So I'll tip with Geelong. You?
Yeah, I'd say the Cats but I'd say that with not a whole lot of confidence as well. So
yeah, they're a lethal opponent. I mean, they've shown that, so we'll have to be switched on again.
Yeah, sort of in the 2012-2013 seasons have troubled us a little bit. Not this year as of yet, but sometimes in finals we just don't quite get the job done. But we've lost 4 of our last 5, which is... not what we're really after, but what can you do with the kids you got out on the park? I mean, we've got a lot of youngsters as well, so it's really tough to sort of be a harsh marker about it.
Yeah, and we can't always be the premiership side, can we? Which we're probably copying that as the struggling Geelong supporter coming off what has been the best era in our whole club's history.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
That's part of it, I guess.
There's always natural decline.
Yeah, exactly right.
Oh well, that's how it goes. Alright, so those are some of the thoughts from Shorty and myself on the game with Geelong and Hawthorn doing it pretty comfortably, winning by 36 points, and I walked out, I think, when I got it to 27 points.
You only followed me by about a minute, mate.
Yeah, the goals were coming pretty quickly for the Hawks, so which is a big shame. But yeah, feel free to comment your thoughts on the game and whereabouts the Cats are at. Gee, they need to win this week, that's for sure. Well, the week coming up, but let's hope. And yeah, don't forget to check out my mate Darijoe. Does the Geelong Goal video highlights each week. I'm pretty sure he would have the video up by now, since it was on the Friday night. So we'll chuck the link in.
So,
yeah, we'll chuck the link in the description below. Or maybe he got really pissed off and didn't quite want to upload that one, but we'll see. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe to us as well. We love giving out this content, and we love the backing of you guys as well. You are the backbone to our spine. So get around us and share this around to your mates. Thanks heaps for sticking around, and we'll see you guys all soon.